Remember when Dan O'Dowd came on our show?
Yeah, I think I was here for that one.
And then yesterday, Dan O'Dowd went on MLB Network.
No, I don't remember that one.
He talked about the Giants and Rafael Devers, why they went after him in the first place. Take a listen.
To me, in the Giants case, I think it's a reaction to not signing Stanton, not signing Harper, not signing Correa, not signing Judge.
They wanted a star.
They realized they can't sign one as a free agent, so they went the trade route.
Okay. Probably some validity to that.
Right. And they saw the way it was going in Boston, which was a very public, more than a spat, more than a feud. It was akin to Jimmy Butler in Miami, I think, where the only way that was going to end was with Rafael Devers getting shipped out.
Yeah, but it didn't need to necessarily go the way that it went. The one thing I will say about when Rafael Devers was acquired, I think all of us Giants fans were so thrilled to have an elite hitter, but there were a lot of baseball people who said in the same sentence, yes, great hitter, and I think the Giants clearly got the best player in the deal, but also a little surprised they just took on the whole contract.
Yeah.
I don't think there were any other baseball teams that were going to be willing to do that.
And wasn't some of the money paid already up front by Boston in the form of a signing bonus?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you always talk about the average annual amount on the deal, and it's not what shows on Baseball Reference, which is $33 million a year.
Right. It's actually about $28.5 a year.
Okay.
Every year.
Right, but they still took on the whole kit and caboodle.
They took on the rest of what was on it. Yeah.
Boston didn't chip in $100 million, or you just took the player and you took the contract.
They didn't chip in $100,
right?
Let alone $100 million.
There was no chip.
Nothing
was chipped in.
And I like chips.
Yeah, and
a little too much actually.
I think at the time, you looked at the trade and thought they finally got a hitter, like Dan O'Dowd just said. But at the time, you weren't thinking that Bryce was going to be just a year away and that he was going to come up and make this big of a splash this soon. And so I think Buster looked at it and he pounced. There's a really good player available, a player that had to be dealt because the situation was broken.
Look, I was in favor of it then, so I'm not going to allow myself to not be in favor of it now. But to the point he's making, does this mean that the Giants acted out of some other emotion rather than what you want to act out of, which is we like this player and we think this is the perfect deal for us right now? In other words, were they letting history into, the analogy I love to use? It's kind of like if you're dating or married to somebody who loves to go out 5 nights a week and stay out late, and that relationship sours, you're going to immediately look for like a homebody. But you may not be a homebody. That's just what you want now. It's not what you want all the time. And now you've signed up for homebody. And that's going to wear out too, because at a certain point, 5, 6, 7 years down the road, or who knows, maybe in 12 months, you'll be like, I'm bored. And so did the Giants act out of, instead of, we think this is a good deal and a great player who fits perfectly, did they basically act out of their own wounding?
Perhaps.
That's what concerns me here.
A certain amount of, not desperation, but some desperation, because you have been trying and trying and trying to get these really big-time hitters to come here, and you finish in second, time and time again, and Farhan's out, and so Buster takes the reins and sees this as the best opportunity. And so, you go out there and you just fire away and you trade your prospects and Jordan Hicks, and you just take on the whole deal because you got yourself a real bona fide 850 OPS superstar hitter.
What you got, Grandy?
What do you think is because the Devers deal, you're getting beat on all fronts. What do you think is the worst part of it? Is it Devers' performance specifically? Is it the fact that Harrison is looking like an all-star in Milwaukee? Or is it that he's essentially blocking Bryce Eldridge? Like, what is the worst part? Because all three of those are not good.
I picked the first one. For
just
me,
Devers not playing as well?
Yeah, just like his performance is not, and it's not an offensive performance. It's just not Rafael Devers. That's what bothers me the most. I think at least in the near term, you can deal with Eldridge and Devers swapping back and forth between that and the DH. And Kyle Harrison showing out, to me, that's the cost of doing business sometimes. If you get a great player in return, then it's okay if you gave up somebody else who's performing also.
And Boston actually gave him up too.
They did.
It wasn't until he got to Milwaukee that he got healthy and learned how to pitch, apparently.
I don't know if this helps Giants fans or not. Boston's dealings in all of this were way worse. Way worse. But I don't care about that. I'm a Giants fan. I'm not comforted by, hey, the Giants are in fourth place, but hey, so are the Sox. Like, so what? I don't care about that. They messed up bigger, but the Giants still messed up.
Tibbs, by the way, is at 1,036 in the Dodgers organization.
He has been
His
the whole
OPS,
time.
I know. But even when he cooled off, he's still above 1,000.
Somebody asked the Dodgers, why aren't they calling him up? Like,
I mean, do they have a spot for him?
I mean, they have to. They're not hitting 350 at every position, are they?
I doubt it. He's got 19 home runs and 59 driven in AAA.
He's an outfielder, right?
Yeah. You know who one of the best outfielders in the National League is?
Yes, Andy Pajas
He's
is
been
what you're going to say.
amazing this year.
Andy Pajas. He's probably been the Dodgers. You could make a case he's been their best player.
Well, I don't know.
Tibbs has also played a bunch of first this year. An even split of first, right field, and DH.
Right. And obviously the Dodgers have a DH who goes by the name of Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
So Pajas has been great. You've got Teoscar Hernandez in left. You spent a truckload of money on Kyle Tucker and put him in right. So that's why Tibbs is not up. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, it's probably similar to what we were screaming about with Bryce Eldridge. Like, don't call the guy up unless you got a spot to play him.
Right. And I would answer your question the same way as Mark Grandy. The first part of it, the lack of performance from Rafael Devers is the one that is the worst part of the trade for me. Because you can't control what they do with Kyle Harrison, and they gave up on him sooner than the Giants did.
Do you guys both think the Giants should trade Rafael Devers?
I don't know if I meant the word should, but like from an opportunistic standpoint, if there's a deal that makes sense, I think they absolutely need to be open to it.
But if he was hitting the way he has throughout his career, you wouldn't want to do it, even if the team wasn't still very good?
Not right now.
I think the biggest reason for me to trade him is because of he's blocking Eldridge.
But is he? Like, I guess maybe he is long-term. I think what they're doing right now is okay for now. So the reason I would look to trade Rafael Devers is I would have questions if this could last much more than a year. But I'd be willing to do this for a year. You could trade Rafael at the next deadline. If there's no good deal right now, you can do this next July.
Yeah, and I think...
what the hell's on the line? It's not like, oh, no, we're going to ruin the rest of this year. They took care of that already.
Pretty much. And I think the further down the line with his contract you go, the more tradable it becomes.
Right.
Because
Agreed.
you don't have to eat as much, and neither does the other team.
And the older he gets, though, and theoretically the worse as a player he becomes, though.
Fair, but he also, I don't think he's going to hit any worse than this. I mean, he could start to rake. Maybe he puts up another 850 OPS and then he becomes more tradable. I agree with everything that you guys are saying. It's all a cost-benefit analysis. It's all a risk-reward play. I don't think you have to trade Rafael Devers this season. I don't even know if they can. It's hard for me to wrap my head around right now the idea, though, that they keep him for more than another year or two if Bryce is going to be anything like this at all.
I think there's a sweet spot of the contract gets smaller and he still is at an age where he can be productive. That I think is maybe it's a year or two or three, but he's never had a year this bad. His second year, his OPS was 731.
Right.
And he had 21 homers that year, but other than that, he's been high eights and dominant.
We're not even at the halfway point, too. So, I don't know where his OPS is going to end up. He might end up with an OPS over 800 again.
Yeah.
I mean, look what Chapman's done to his OPS in 3 weeks.
Seriously.
So, Devers can do that, too. When you say the word 3 years, even 2 years, though, right now, that feels like a long time to keep Bryce Eldridge shelved defensively.
Right.
Blocked a little bit, because even if you just say, hey, Eldridge, you're going to be our DH, that creates flexibility problems elsewhere around the diamond. Like, don't forget, Elliot Ramos is coming back. And, okay, so now what? Where's Casey Schmidt go? And does he go to right? And does Jung Hoo go to center? Right. And if that's your outfield, guess what? You have an awful defensive outfield.
Yeah, not a lot of. Well, Jung Hoo Lee's not awful, but
no, but he's not good in center.
Right.
No, he's a good outfielder. But they decided after 2 seasons or a season and a half of watching him in center that he was below average out there. Ramos below average, and Casey Schmidt is brand new, and now you'd be asking him to learn a new outfield position again,
right?
And a quirky one at that. That's not a good outfield.
It's not.
And I don't want to go out into Oracle Park with a bad outfield. That's not a good idea.
Especially with that triple Zally, man. That thing's huge out there.
Gotta move the fence way in.
Seriously. And let us play with 4 outfielders like it's a slow pitch team.
Change the name to Singles Alley.
Pretty much.
Bring that thing into about 320 feet.
So when do you think Ramos is going to be ready?
It's getting there. I would
another week or 2 or
month of June.
Okay.